To mark 100 days in office, President Trump hosting an event to focus on his economic success. But it comes amid a new report that shows America's economy is going in the wrong direction. It says the first quarter of 2025 is the worst performance in 3 years. That's driven in part by the surge of imports before tariffs went into effect. Do you think the country is in better shape 100 days into President Trump's second term in office? That's the question we've been asking people across the state with CT Insider's Dan Haar. We've already been to Southington and Hartford. Tonight, Channel 3's Kara Sunland shares our visit in Waterbury.
On a beautiful blue sky day in downtown Waterbury, home of the brass mills and the famous clock tower, people are on the move around the courthouse. And that's where we found Charles Davis, who shared his thoughts on how President Trump is doing 100 days into his second term.
I'm a Democrat, not a Republican, but I'll entertain that he's doing what he's supposed to do.
A block down the street, we get a different opinion from Celia Bajarami, a case manager at a nearby social services agency.
I can't say he did a great job the first 4 years, and I cannot say he's doing any better this time around.
What's the thing that you're focused the most on, or things?
Well, I mean, I personally have always been an advocate for rights for everybody, so including immigration, LGBTQ+, and those do not seem to be his desired audience. So the fact that he's being so not inclusive of those people is quite disappointing.
Salesman Jonathan Halstead used the word dim when describing what's taken place since January 20th. He's concerned about the pace and magnitude of the changes that have been made thus far.
What's your impression of these 100 days? Has it been more or less than you expected him to do, or less effective, more effective?
Well, I think it's all that he said it would be on the sly, and where everybody always says, oh, we really didn't think that he would do it. And, you know, the bottom line is he has an agenda and he's putting it in place. And his agenda is to, you know, slay the American people in such a way that they're dependent.
Scott Cole, in contrast, supports the president and his approach to tackling issues in America and beyond.
He's just been a good mediator, and he has that business savvy that he's a good negotiator. He doesn't have to send other people in. I think not people fear him, but also respect him. Because, yeah, he's gone bankrupt and everything, but he's also built himself back up.
Cole, who says he's currently on disability after an accident at work, is seeking additional government aid to get him through this period. But he tells Dan he supports cuts to those programs if it gets the country to a better place.
But you're okay with it happening now, even though it could hurt you?
Yep.
Interesting.
It's for the better of the country. It sucks. I'm not going to deny it. But we just have been living in a very corrupt system that everybody is just used to living in. And you get somebody that's going to come along, like in my situation, and disturb it. I have to be grateful for the time we've had and know that better things are hopefully going to come.
All right, Dan joins us now in the studio. That man at the end, very interesting.
Yes, Mr. Cole, Scott Cole, represents a deviation from the norm. The norm is if you're getting a lot of benefits, you want to keep them. And if the next person is getting a lot of benefits, you want them cut, right? That's the sort of not in my backyard, you know, cut somebody else. Here's a guy who, we didn't go into it in this segment, but off camera, and then to some extent on camera, he talks about a large number of public-type subsidies. Housing rent, rehabilitation, medical care, food stamps, and I'm forgetting some. Disability.
Yes.
That's the big one.
Yeah.
He nonetheless thinks there's too much out there, there's too much corruption, I'm okay to cut it, even if he says, as it says, you know, this is bad for me.
Yeah, I mean, half the country voted for him, so this is an opinion we're hearing.
Right. You do hear a lot of people saying, I didn't realize it was going to affect my benefits. This is a guy who does realize it and still supports it.
And what did you find in Waterbury that was different from Hartford and Southington, our other two stops?
Well, in the small sample we had, Waterbury, and I've seen this before, Waterbury is more conservative in some ways, but people are more outspoken about their liberalism than in Hartford. For some reason, Hartford was much more reticent. And so it's a mix of people. I think people are, Waterbury's an outspoken place, you know, and it always has been. It's given us, you know, a very colorful governor among other people. So it was fun to work in Waterbury like Manchester.
Interesting. Now, Fairfield is tomorrow. tomorrow? Were they outspoken there? What are we going to expect from Fairfield?
Not so much in Fairfield, because in Fairfield, the richer the town, the less, you know this from the business, right? The richer the town, the less likely they are to talk openly, freely, and in an animated way. Not to say we didn't find some very interesting people in Fairfield. We did. And you're going to see one in particular who's very animated, who has a great backstory.
Interesting. All right. That was a good tease, Dan. You're getting used to this TV thing, I can tell.
There you go.
All right. Tune in tomorrow at 5:30 here about our visit to Fairfield, and we will have one last stop on Friday. In the meantime, you can check out Dan's columns on CT Insider. There will be a new one tomorrow.